They're recording. All right, so first we have a few announcements, but I do want to say that, yes, we're in our last 2 weeks of the semester. Today is the 8th. We're supposed to meet until the 22nd, which is 2 weeks. We probably will not meet that Wednesday. It really won't be necessary. We'll plan to meet that Monday, which is the 20th. And that'll probably be our last time together in our virtual classroom. Today I'm going to go over, I'll have some announcements and I'll go over essentially what your responsibilities are as far as assignments the last, 3 weeks. So you have an assignment due this week, assignment due next week, and then the last assignment or the proposal. And we'll talk about that more next week, a little bit today, but more next week. Is due on the 26th of April. All right, so let me go through a few of our tech announcements. Good Friday, which is Friday, there are no classes. It's that holiday season, and hopefully you all have plans to celebrate. And then Easter is Sunday, obviously. So yes, we will not meet, or I will not have a virtual class. If you have any questions about the assignment, please, and I did have you can text me, that's my cell number, or email. Those are the quickest ways to get a response. And if you text me, make sure you tell me who you are so I won't think it's spam. But that's my cell number on the bottom there. So please feel free to contact me in those manners. All right. All right, the university is still focusing on career. There's several things going on. Obviously, everything is virtual. There's virtual career fairs. There's virtual career counseling. Basically, you just have to email. You can email the ACE Center. The email's on the bottom right there, ace@gcu.edu. You can set up appointments. Everything is still available. It's just all essentially some type of remote scenario, such as our class. So please do that. The month at a glance. I'm just going to breeze right through this. It's typical. We have a lot going on. They are focusing on connecting you to internships, even internships where you're at. If you're not in Phoenix, I know that's a big push as well. So if you're still concerned about that, please contact the ACE Center. So this is essentially elaborating that. They have a lot of individuals working on creating consultations for you for career placement, especially in lieu of what's going on and all that. So yes, the university is still focused on that. With that, we have virtual career fairs. The next one is essentially education and fine arts next week. Look for announcements for engineering and tech. So they are coming, and it's basically a Zoom meeting or some type of collaborative platform such as Zoom. Speaking of an engineering and tech virtual fair, that's actually on the 29th. Essentially after the semester, but those announcements will be going out to your email. So please join those. There will be several companies that are chiming in to these virtual fairs, virtual career fairs. And basically everything is email or communication, obviously during this time of social distancing. So look out for that. All right, so let's get right into the lecture. Remember, check into Academy, that's my backup. I generally try to ensure, and say there are several of your classmates that are not on. And since this week is a short week, unfortunately, if individuals are not checking in or joining the lecture, then they will receive 0 participation points. All right, so on to topic 7. Basically, the overarching themes or objectives of the topic is essentially looking at the importance of performance monitoring, troubleshooting problems based on on open logs and monitoring, examine capacity management with server, and discover troubleshooting practices for effective problem resolution. So those are the objectives. Your first assignment, which is due this Sunday, is essentially, and this is pretty straightforward. I just want you to perform a system backup and restore or walk through the steps. And here are the premises to ensure integrity of the Windows Server Active Directory configuration is saved. Basically, and this is a big thing in industry, you have to understand the frequency and necessity of backups. So what you're going to do is use a Windows Server, and there's actually several ways to do this. If you need help with this, please let me know, but basically you're going to back up the server services. You can use the scheduler. Well, there's several ways. There's information in the resources that will walk you through a server backup. It's actually very easy now, not like the old days where we had to either run some PowerShell script or walk through something, in the registry and things like that. Just to let you know, primarily there are several wizards running on your server that you can run a backup. I would suggest just look at the task scheduler, look at the parameters there, and you can schedule a backup. And what I'm concerned about here is just when you describe the backup, talk about why it's necessary not to run a backup in the middle of the day, things like that. So number one, using a Windows Server and the Windows Backup utility, perform an Active Directory backup, and you'll see where that is, if even in Active Directory. But what I would recommend, because you can back up all of these active server services, look at the task scheduler, and just essentially provide for me a step-by-step with screen captures as to how you would run a backup. And primarily the restore is pretty much the opposite. So the whole idea of deleting a user account and recovering it, step two, I'm not really concerned about that because the backups are so straightforward now. So all I want primarily is for you to describe the process of a backup. And the same with step three. Basically, I want you to, technically, I just want you to show me how you want to back up your server. And then just describe that. It does not have to be any more elaborate than that. I don't really need for you to delete a user and all that. That's just extra activity work. So any questions about this assignment? And yes, there is a rubric, and basically you are required to submit it to Lopeswright. Let's see, and I do want to mention, because I've had, unfortunately, an issue in a couple of the classes. Yes, we're still checking to make sure there's no high similarity on your submissions. Please just do your own work. I've had to report a couple students because for some reason they thought working remotely they can still just do whatever. So, we're all tasked to mention that yes, plagiarism is still plagiarism, whether you're in the classroom or not. So please do your own work. All right, any questions about the assignment due on Sunday? Pretty straightforward. To summarize it, I just want you to walk through the steps of performing a server, just your server, essentially, and it's focusing on Active Directory, but how would you perform a server backup? Right, and I will save the recording of this lecture and post it. So that's what's due Sunday. Pretty, not anything too difficult. And please don't overthink it. It's just provide your screenshots and post it to that assignment portal. All right. So the next week is kind of a writing assignment, but it is important to understand essentially, and we'll talk about this more. I'm just going to brief through the lecture. So the title of the assignment is When Things Go Wrong. So essentially, I've showed you how to manage your system as a system admin, maintenance, and you're developing your environment for your little company. And believe me, as a system admin, you go through so many issues that are whether it's the server pausing, the performance is down, or whatever, and you generally end up fielding a lot of complaints about I can't do this, I can't log in, and it's usually kind of a headache. So the premise of this assignment is that basically, how are you handling this from a, and what we're looking for is from a Christian worldview. So the whole idea when things go wrong, are you trying to, is this just like an activity and you're tired of users and systems or et cetera? So in the Bible, God indicated that man will have power over fish, the birds, animals, domestic, and the wild of the earth, and assigns man to work to cultivate, develop, and guard. Essentially in Genesis, it talks about what our responsibilities are. So as a system admin, to reference that, believe me, you have to deal with personalities, people not following instructions, and it's a redundancy, and it can be essentially problematic for you. So what I want you to do in this assignment is basically write about what is your approach to dealing with, just dealing with what people do. And you have to think about security aspects, people leaving their systems open or downloading or accessing sites inappropriately, whatever. So how do you handle that? And it is a really basic writing assignment, just a paragraph about, yes, although things will go wrong in a system infrastructure, generally, for you as a system admin, are you taking a morally, a sound approach to handling issues, or generally you don't really care? You're just going to let the system or the infrastructure fail, and then just add your version of a Christian worldview approach to that. And so that assignment is due next week, basic writing assignment. Once again, I'm not a word count person, so please don't write to the 250, 400 word count, but that is in LoudCloud. There's a scoring guide, and yes, that assignment will also need to be submitted to Lobstrite. And then your final assignment, oh wait, I should pause. Any questions about that assignment that's due on the 19th? Yeah, you're all too agreeable. All right, so the final assignment, which is due the Sunday, which is due Sunday the 26th, and that's essentially your final proposal. And basically, what I'm looking for, you've had 5 iterations of your proposal. I do want you to kind of put them all together. There are certain aspects in those proposals, and just create one final proposal. So these are the aspects. So you want to recommend kind of a server and workstation environment. You want to put together a recommendation for your server, your disk RAID and fault tolerance. You want to talk about Active Directory. Essentially, an LDAP is essentially a part of Active Directory, it's authentication. You want to talk about directory services, the Windows and Linux integration, if it's needed or not, your user group management recommendation, meaning how are you configuring that and why is it necessary? And then automation. We didn't talk too much about automation. Point number 7, we briefly went over, you can automate adding users or whatever. You can just mention within your company environment, basically, you may run a script to add bulk users and then essentially make a task for system admin to manage users after that. And then obviously group policy, computer usage, and just policies that you went over from that perspective. And then security guidelines, firewall audits, and then basic management practices. So it seems like a lot, but essentially, if you look back on all the proposals that you wrote for the semester, you can pull out all 10 of those aspects easy enough. So I'm suggesting, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, prepare to structure this as a kind of a final proposal for your little company. So make sure your company is mentioned prominently throughout, and review the rubric, and when you get to that point, and then also you are required to submit the final proposal to Lobstrike. All right, so that's essentially what you're responsible for the rest of the semester. As I stated, basically we have 2 weeks left. We'll have a full lecture hopefully next week, and then that's essentially our last. Well, okay, let me repeat myself. We'll have a full lecture next Wednesday, and then I'm asking everyone to be in class on Monday, Monday the 20th. Is that what it is? Yes. And then that will be our last class together. And then if we need to meet, or if you would like to meet on the 22nd, which is supposedly our last day, we can. But I would much rather just meet you all on Monday the 20th, say goodbye, say happy summer and all that. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one, but it's kind of more personal, like just to my own stuff. As far as the assignment from last Sunday,
Is this Teddy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I sent it to you over the form. Should I just submit it to the for Lopes, right? Should I just submit it on the on task again?
No, it's okay, Teddy. If I believe me, there's very easy ways to check for similarity. So yes, just submit it in the private form. If I trust, usually I trust students, and if there's an indication, and it's very easy to check that of something that's problematic, then I'll check it myself. So don't worry about that.
All right. Yeah, I definitely used the template a little bit in a few parts that I was having a hard time with. So if you want me to redo anything, let me know. I can.
And see, well, Teddy, that's a good question. I have no problems with you all, especially with that assignment, using the template, because the template is very, very useful. As a matter of fact, the students that did very well on that assignment use the template. And
Okay.
yes, the template will return high similarity, but I'm not concerned about that. I can see right away where you're injecting your particular written version of your proposal per se.
All right.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good.
Well,
Good
thank
question.
you. I appreciate that.
Oh, not a problem. Any other questions? And like I said, I'm recording this lecture. I'll post it in LoudCloud. You're all doing very well. I mean, even amidst all that's going on, and I appreciate that. So I am going to be very stringent about due dates. So make sure you get your assignments in on time. If for some reason you cannot, if you contact me, then it's not going to be a problem. All you have to do is just send a simple private form message, and then basically I'll grade it without deductions as far as late work. But make sure if you're having issues finishing the assignment, contact me. You have several ways to do that now. But as far as due dates, I do want to essentially to have everything in on time, because you're all sitting at home anyway, right? So while you're being bored, you might as well just work on your homework. All right. Anyone else?
Quick question.
Yes, go ahead, Anthony.
Quick question about not the last assignment, but the one do this when things go wrong.
Next week.
Right. When so I have actual personal experiences and things like that, like full servers shutting down and stuff like that. If I had to add that in there, that's like my personal. Is that fine?
That is absolutely fine.
Perfect. Other than that, cool with me.
Matter of fact, I may share that with the group because I know you have some personal experiences, so that's always good.
Okay, no problem.
Any other questions?
I had a question.
Go ahead, Jason.
Under the hypothetical that we complete all 3 assignments before the next class, will we still need to attend the classes?
No, just what I would ask, just check into Cadley just to be sure once once next week and once the last week, and you'll be fine. You'll get full participation.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So that's a very good question. You do. I will actually open up all the assignments after this lecture, so you will have the opportunity to complete all of them and get the crazy class out of the way before the end of the semester. And that's fine with me. When you complete them, I will grade them. All right, any other questions? Comments? All good? All right, well, hi Harmony, it's good to see you. Remember, I will add this recorded lecture to LoudCloud, and you will have the opportunity to basically finish the class. And I do want to thank you all for hanging in there. It's been an interesting semester. And I do want to let you know that we, the global we as in the university and leadership and faculty, have begun the conversation about the fall semester. There are several options out there now. We have no idea. We are all wishing that everything will return to normal, but it is actually a pretty good possibility that we'll have something very different in the fall. So just, I mean, we don't have any details yet, but just to let you know. So the discussion has begun, and that goes with every institution out there. All right. Yes, and most other countries are actually mapping this lockdown or mapping this particular instances for the rest of the year. So it's very possible right now President Euler wants to return to normal as far as the target, but there will be probably some type of modification of the semester. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see how everything maps out. All right, any other questions? Okay, everyone, remember no class on Friday. You have an assignment due Sunday. I'll open up the Zoom on Monday, but we'll meet again next week, next Wednesday for the full class. And then my plan is that we'll meet for the last time on the 20th, which is a Monday. Unless you all want to meet on the 22nd, which is officially the last day. So what do y'all think? Would you prefer to meet Wednesday, the 22nd, or Monday, the 20th? Quick vote.
I'm fine either way.
Okay, Monday. All right, so we will plan to meet Monday the 20th as our last day. Sob.
Huh.
All right. Okay, you all have a good day, and yeah, just let me know if you need anything, and I will see you all next week.
Sweet. Thanks, Wyatt.
You're welcome, Brendan. Take care.
You
Thank
too.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Don't run out of books.
All right. I'll try not to.